Hello and welcome to Cold Takes, the channel made to combat hot take culture, one video at a time. In this video, I'd like to attempt to display an argument as to why I believe that Pierre-Luc Dubois will be a success in Washington next year. Before talking about Dubois, I'd like to explain what Washington goals are and what they would define as success. Washington has two major goals, and they are both directly connected to team captain Alex Ovechkin. Those two goals are to remain as competitive as possible in Ovi's twilight years and for him to pass Wayne Gretzky's NHL all-time goal-scoring record. Pittsburgh and Washington have been tied at the hip and in the same position for almost the past 20 years. However, they have finally begun to differentiate their organizational paths forward this recent offseason. Both teams are very far from cup contention, no matter what the local fan bases will say, but have taken two different directions in the short-term future. While Pittsburgh has done its winning and has started to put an emphasis on acquiring future assets, Washington is trying to continue to push for playoffs and put talent around Ovechkin to help him break the goal-scoring record. In my opinion, Pierre-Luc Dubois is the perfect player to help him. Dubois averaged 0.66 assists per game over his career so far, and Ovechkin has averaged a 0.6 goals per game. There is an incredibly realistic chance that Dubois replacing Dylan Strome as his center, who averaged 0.49 assists per game, increases Ovechkin's goal-scoring totals next season. Ovechkin only needs 41 goals, and Dubois increases Ovi's chances of reaching that record in one season rather than the probable 2 seasons after one of Ovechkin's least productive goal-scoring seasons of his career. Washington definitely acquired Dubois for that specific reason, as even if Dubois is terrible for the remainder of his contract without Ovi on his wing, then it was still hypothetically the trade that guaranteed Gretzky's record being overtaken. Now let's break down Pierre-Luc Dubois. Dubois is an elite playmaker. His passing, playmaking, and skating metrics are almost entirely all in the 70th to 90th percentiles among all active NHL players. This playmaking ability will pair incredibly well with Ovechkin's elite shooting and above-average forechecking ability. This will give Ovechkin the first-line center he's been missing with Backstrom injured and Kuznetsov gone. Dubois is also elite at contested and rebound loose puck retrievals in the offensive zone, even though his standard loose puck retrieval metrics, uncontested, are very mediocre. Another mediocre attribute of Dubois' game is his shot, with his shooting percentiles being in the 40s, 10s, and 5th percentile ranges. Pierre-Luc Dubois is known as a defensively inept player. However, that does not much show in his analytics from last year, but that is most likely due to the fact that his strength of opposition differential, meaning the strength of his line mates versus the strength of his opposition, was in the 85th percentile, so he was playing against way weaker competition. Most likely, his defensive metrics will decrease next year due to him playing against top 6 talent as opposed to the middle 6 players he played against in LA. However, he still was a mediocre defensive player last year, which is not what his reputation suggests. His greatest strength at defense was his ability to possess the puck and take it out of the defensive zone. Pierre-Luc Dubois is also not excellent at the less noticeable aspects of the game, as his forechecking, physicality, and net front presence are all above to below average. To summarize, I personally believe that Pierre-Luc Dubois will be an excellent fit for a team that needs younger players, needs players to facilitate Alex Ovechkin's goal scoring, and needs players with talent to keep them in a playoff window. While usually I advocate for NHL teams to trade away aging stars and start a rebuild earlier rather than following the example of teams like Detroit or Pittsburgh, where they pay old stars way too much for way too long, Ovechkin is in a rare position to have a career achievement and beat one of Gretzky's impossible-to-beat records. And Washington is and has to do everything possible to get him past that line. The real question I want to ask is, will he ever be worth the cap hit that he is currently signed to? I personally believe that he will be worth it over the next 2 seasons at least, but it's definitely possible that his contributions to Washington are more of a $6 to $7 million player rather than one with an $8.5 million cap hit. Let me know in the comments your prediction on how good, bad, or mediocre Pierre-Luc Dubois will be next season, and if you want to have fun with it, then tell me a prediction of what his contract value should be, or a prediction of how many points he will have. With that being said, I'm Cold Takes, and thanks for watching.